You know that feeling when you're staring at a wall of gear on Amazon, trying to decide whether you're about to spend good money on something that will actually help you on the ice or just add another heavy box to the back of the truck? I get it, ice fishing is already a hobby that asks you to haul a lot of equipment, and the last thing you want is a sonar unit that looks great on paper but ends up being a paperweight once you're out there in sub-zero weather. The biggest question is, does this particular system actually deliver reliable data when you need it, and does it justify the price tag for the kind of angler who's serious about finding fish under a frozen lake? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Garmin PS22 is marketed as a portable ice fishing sonar kit that bundles a 7-inch display, a transducer, a battery pack, and a charger into a case that promises durability on the ice. The idea is simple: you drop the transducer through the hole, you get real-time sonar imaging on a screen that's bright enough to read in bright winter sun, and you keep everything together in a case you can lug in your sled or snowmobile. That sounds perfect on the surface, especially if you've ever tried to piece together a sonar setup from separate parts and ended up with a mess of cables and a battery that dies before you even get to the first bite. In practice, the biggest advantage I've seen people talk about is the real-time imaging. Unlike older ice sonar models that only give you a single depth reading, this Garmin unit shows you a live slice of what's happening under the ice. For a typical lake with a depth of 10 to 15 meters, that means you can see where the fish are schooling, where the thermocline sits, and whether there's a sudden drop that could indicate a structure or a shoal. If you're the type who likes to adjust your jig depth on the fly, that instant feedback can be the difference between a dry line and a solid strike. The 7-inch display is another point that matters in real-world conditions. On a bright, icy day, many small screens become unreadable, forcing you to squint or keep the unit in a pocket while you guess what's happening underwater. Garmin's sunlight-readable glass claims to keep the image crisp, and users who have posted videos of the screen in daylight seem to confirm that the contrast holds up. That makes it feasible to keep the unit out on the ice while you're still moving your jig, rather than huddling under a tarp to catch a glimpse of the data. Portability is where the kit tries to win you over. The whole package fits into a rugged case that's roughly the size of a small cooler, and the battery is marketed as powerful enough for a full day of fishing. In my own field tests with comparable devices, battery life is often the weak link, especially if you crank the sonar's range to its maximum. The PS22's battery, according to the spec sheet, should give you roughly 12 hours of continuous use, which aligns with a typical day on the ice that starts early and ends late. If you're only planning a few hours of fishing, that margin is more than enough, but if you're the type who spends an entire weekend out there, you'll want to bring a spare pack just in case the charger doesn't keep up. Now, let's talk about the transducer. Garmin calls it high performance, and on paper that means a broader frequency range and better detection of both fish and bottom structure. In icy water, the transducer has to be lowered through a hole and stay stable enough to avoid wobbling, which can introduce noise. The kit's transducer is designed to sit on the ice surface and extend into the water, and users have noted that the mounting bracket feels solid enough not to tip over easily when the wind picks up. That said, the transducer size is a bit larger than the most compact units, which means you need a slightly bigger hole, something you have to factor into your ice drilling plan. So, who should actually consider buying this Garmin kit? If you're an avid ice angler who already knows the basics of sonar and wants a single, integrated system that you can set up in minutes and start seeing fish right away, the PS22 fits that niche. It's also a good match for anglers who hunt larger bodies of water where depth readings and structure identification can significantly affect where you drop your jig. The real-time imaging and bright display makes sense for someone who likes to experiment with depth and move around the lake frequently, rather than staying in one spot all day. On the other side, if you're a casual fisherman who only goes out for a quick couple of hours once a season, you might be better off with a simpler, cheaper depth finder that plugs into a smartphone or a basic handheld.